Hello and welcome to Business Talks. I am Lonna Smith, your host. Today we're doing part 2 with Fernando Jauretche of Freeform. Works in, I want to say interior. I know you're not an interior designer. However, it feels to me like you are, just because you have vision of what a workplace could look like. So if you didn't watch part 1, I'm going to encourage you to go back and watch part 1 to learn about Fernando and how he came into this. It's really fascinating. And also the psychology of the business workspace and what that means to employees, to their creativity, to their moods, to communication and synergy, and how that all works together to bring about the most productivity in your workplace. Something that I've never thought about, and now my mind is blown because it all makes sense. So Freeform has just completed a new renovation in their space that will allow people to come in and take a look at sample workspaces. You have 15 vignettes available for employers to come and look and see if, I guess your goal is so they can see what resonates with them, what would work best in their space. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, exactly. So there's, the name Freeform came from the idea of not have a preconceived idea of what a space should be, right? So in the past, whether it was furniture providers like ourselves that do interiors products, or designers or clients, their thought was, well, we need offices, and then we need workstations, and then we need a break room, and then we need a conference room. Mm-hmm. That was a very rigid way of thinking about the workplace, and so years ago, I heard a thought leader for HOK, an international design firm, talk about how or a space should be responsive to the needs of the people in the organization, and we shouldn't have these rigid, fixed views of what spaces should be, and we should take a freeform approach to office design, and that's really where that name came from. So a freeform approach means that we look at the specific needs, and we look at the personality of the company. Companies have personalities, and the personality of the people, and we try to figure out taking that freeform approach, what can we create to solve issues or maximize the space, or maybe even create a new type of space that addresses. We've gotten to work with really unique companies in town, even like a nonprofit we're working with now. It's kind of atypical. They've got workplaces, but they have the general public coming in, and they have a cafe area, and it's not just your typical workplace. And so how do we think about these different spaces? So, for example, in our showroom, we have a varying degree of different types of heads down workplaces, where you're going to work by yourself, heads down, focused on something. And those have shrunk over time. They were shrinking anyway as real estate became more expensive. But now that people have the option of working from home, most of them are going to do their heads down work at home, and they're going to come to the office to collaborate. So we continue to kind of de-emphasize the heads down space, and we look at what other space we can create with the leftover real estate. Another issue is that managers or people that need a private office, that deal with sensitive information, if those people are going to work hybrid schedules, what do we do with that space when they're not here? And so creating flexible private offices that have dual purpose. That's a mantra that you see a lot in our spaces, dual purpose spaces. This space does two things, not just one thing. So it's a private office that converts from a private office into a meeting room. So now we can have a private meeting in there when there's no manager there, and then it's the manager's office when the manager is there.
So tell me about that. When you say it converts,
right?
So as a layperson,
right.
layman's terms, so when you say an office converts from a meeting space into a private workspace, how does that happen?
There's just cool new furniture around that, people think a desk is a desk is a desk. I've got a sliding table desk that slides away from the storage piece that it connects to when it's a manager's office. It slides into the open space, and it becomes a meeting table. Okay. I've got desks that have these kind of hidden rollers that you don't see, so it looks like a two-person office, but then the desks roll together and create a multimedia kind of like maybe a Zoom friendly room that you can collaborate in with a TV screen and see people around the space. So we just have things that people haven't seen before, because we try to put obviously the latest and greatest. You're not going to see a 20-year-old car at a car dealership showroom. You're going to see the newest furniture, the newest offerings of manufacturers in our showroom.
Well, and you just got back from the trade show, you said in Chicago. And you talked about in the last segment the rounded corners on the furniture. What else? What was like the craziest thing you saw at the trade show? And crazy, I guess, when you're talking Freeform, there's really no crazy, but what was the most unusual or kind of something you looked at and just went, wow?
Yeah, there's a lot of innovation happening in how to make spaces multifunctional, right? And so some of those were already in our showroom, but I saw a new one where you had a full workstation with a computer, some privacy shrouds, and everything it looked like it was fully connected to a workstation, but the whole thing could detach and roll and then be docked somewhere else. And so you could literally take your whole workstation at an office and move it from one place to another, which is crucial if we're going to have spaces that do dual duty. So do I want a space where I can work by myself heads down, or do I want a space where I can collaborate with my team? Well, if I can have functional adaptable furniture that can do both, we can move it this way when we want to collaborate, we can move it this way when we want to work on our own, then that's a better use of our dollars in our real estate.
Okay, it's amazing. So you have created this space in your building, and you have 15 vignettes. Tell me, so we talked about in the last episode about your Zoom living room and a more comfortable. Give me an idea of what 15 different options or vignettes or ideas looks like. You don't have to do all 15. Choose a couple that you can give us an example of.
Right. So if I kind of walk through our space, so when you first come in, you're greeted by this beautiful, I call it the jewel case, because there's these chairs, and they're called diamond chairs because they're shaped like diamonds. It's a designer piece, and it's eye candy. You walk in, you see something beautiful right away. It's encased in glass. It's got a cool acoustic drop ceiling in it. We're in an old warehouse converted into a showroom, and so we have the old growth timbers and we have the high ceilings, and so the walls don't have a ceiling, but we put in a drop acoustical panel so that it kind of keeps the sound in, and so that's an example of a private meeting space that's in the open plan. You can still see through the whole showroom, but it's a private encased in glass kind of meeting space. And then you can go around that and you start seeing some of the heads down workspaces, because we're all in the same area because we collaborate a lot. So we've got where our support people and our designers work in small reconfigurable workstations. We've got my desk and my business manager's desk, which are bigger because we're there almost all the time. So the size of the space is kind of dictated by how often we're there, right? And then you go into our kitchen area. We've got some other heads down spaces. We've got our Zoom living room that is focused towards making it feel like a home environment for when you're collaborating with people in their home environment. So you're in equal spaces, which psychologically we talked about, that creates less of a barrier from the person at home feeling like they're an equal part of the conversation.
They're slacking.
Yeah.
Well, because you can't see the SpongeBob SquarePants pajama pants,
Exactly.
but they look great from the
Yeah.
waist up. But I find that I agree with that psychology. Is sometimes you feel like you're slacking or not as professional in a Zoom than if you're in the office.
Right. So
It's true.
most people's response to that is, let me make my space look more professional. Let me put these books I've never read behind me. And let me put a suit top on. Where we can take the other approach. We can make the work environment more informal and feel more like a home, and then people feel more equal. So as you keep going around, we have another kind of living room space that the purpose behind it shows couches that have really high backs and other dividers to show how we can have a privacy in an open space. So that's a challenge sometimes. Like I don't want to build walls. And building walls, is inflexible, right? So if you can move furniture instead of walls, you can kind of adapt your space. That's why a lot of people don't realize you can do all the planning in the world. You can have the best architects, designers, and GCs out there. but you're not going to nail the space 100%. You're going to build it, and then you're going to wish you did something a little bit different. So the more flexibility you left in your plan, the better you can adapt to varying needs, right? Anybody that built their offices 2 months before COVID hit, is wishing maybe, they hadn't done what they done, and maybe they're reevaluating it. So we show a lot of ways to make it flexible. We've got freestanding walls and demountable walls that we show to divide some of these spaces. And then we've got our big, we call it our town hall area, because it's only about a 10, 12-foot conference table. It sits 10 or 12 people, but along the wall we've got these stair steps that are made of plywood that are super cool that people can sit on. And then on the other side, we've got the ability to bring in stools and high tables. And so around this conference table, we can surround it with these elevated sitting platforms, so that when we have a big group meeting or lunch and learn, we like to host events. So if you've got a nonprofit and you're looking for a meeting space, hit me up. And so we can host about 25 people in a meeting room that was designed for really 12 people. Because you've got these ancillary elevated seating spaces where people can see over the heads of the people at the table, and you can present on one end to a large group. And that's going back to maximizing your real estate and your dollars by making it multifunctional. Why I see companies dedicate a space for that once a month or once a quarter town hall meeting that they have with all their employees, but they don't use that huge space for anything else. So could your lobby be your town hall space if you had flexible furniture? Could a space within the open office be reconfigured for those town hall meetings? Like, how can you not dedicate space to things that don't happen very often? And then as you go around, we have some more private offices, furniture. We have the two offices that become one meeting space, and then we've got a library. We've got a full finish and material library. That's where, when we're in the home stretch with a customer project and we're picking finishes, we have tangible samples of all the finishes to put together color boards with. Either if they hired an architect or designer, with the client directly, we pull those finishes together. And then we've got an ergo circle that has 8 or 10 of our popular office chairs that people can sit test them, and we intentionally made them all look as much alike as you can, so you pick it on the merits of the chair, not on the design of the chair, so you can kind of sit in it and feel it. And we actually have about 30 ergo chairs, but what I'll do is I'll kind of qualify it, because a lot of times employers will want to get input from people that work with them, but they also don't want me to blow the budget. If they say, look, Fernando, we're not going to spend more than $500 on office chairs, okay, then I'll populate the ergo circle with chairs in that employer's price range, and then let them sit in the ergo circle. And
More
then they
psychology.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We sell furniture, but we manage people and their their expectations and their needs.
You bring 10 people in to sit in chairs, and everybody might have a different take on that. But I have to ask about pet-friendly environments. Have you done some spaces and created them to be pet-friendly? I know that's becoming more of a, I don't want to say a trend, but it's becoming more acceptable in some works, not more casual, in a more casual attitude in an office environment.
Well, it goes back to that, there are things employers can do to make their workplace more attractive, right? And policies have as much to do with it as furniture, right? And so everything from dress code to, can you work, what is it, every other Friday off, 980 schedules, or can I bring my pet in? The more ways employers can get their employees hooked on a benefit, then when that person wants to leave, let's say that they did allow dogs in the workplace and they bring their pet to work every day. Now when someone else tries to recruit them and they say, well, can I have my dog in your office? And they say no. Well, now that's just one more hook that current employer has to avoid, or to attract a new employee that is passionate about pets. We have a fairly pet-friendly, well-behaved pets. I think if we were going to move it forward, we'd have to do some kind of, I've seen companies do either, for crate trained animals where they have a crate. One of our manufacturing partners created these mini sliding doors. So sliding doors are kind of something that we've seen in cubicles before, where you can close off a space. And so one of our manufacturing partners created a sliding pet door into a workspace so that the pets could sit at the employees' feet, and then you could slide the door shut. Because a few well-mannered pets is fine in a workplace. Lots of pets all interacting with each other is not the same thing. So you definitely
True.
would have to plan for a pet-friendly workplace correctly. Maybe staggered schedules or a way to confine pets. Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic, and people have been home with their pets. So leaving, I know for me, I'd leave my pets, or my 2 dogs for 6 to 8 hours, 8 hours. And not even, it just was our routine. And now I go to the grocery store and I feel bad for leaving them. So it's kind of a crazy dynamic. I also know with having children in the works, or babies in the workspace is something that's coming up, being more friendly to, for moms of infants. My daughter just started with a company where the gal, it's an accounting firm, allows the young moms to bring their babies in and has set up a space for that. And I was very impressed with that. Are you finding that that's
I haven't seen that. Being a mom is so challenging. I don't know how people would work and have a baby. Having 2 kids myself, I think that would be quite the challenge. I think
it's the difference between men and women. I'm not drawing that distinction, but we're plate spinners, right? And jugglers.
Yeah.
You guys are very singularly focused. So I think for women, we're used to kind of doing all. Do we do it all well?
Yeah.
No, I think that's the question is, can you do it well? For them, it's working right now. That's kind of that employer's outreach is to young moms. And again, it's like pets, right? All children, all babies, some babies cry a lot, some don't. So, what's the work productivity going to be when you have a variety of small babies in there?
For moms of young kids, I think that's the silver lining to this COVID, if we want to look for a benefit, is that we've realized that people can work from home. And so if someone has a deadline that they want to reach and they don't want to take the time off to care for a sick kid, I mean, do the work at home with your sick kid. What a great benefit. We have one designer, soon to be 2. She just had a baby who we offered flexible work schedules to, where they really just need to come in for the occasional meeting or see vendors or meet clients, and for the most part, they if they're doing good work and they're getting stuff done, what do I care what time of day it is or how many hours it takes and where the work happens. I think more employers that take that approach, they're going to get the best employers, just like I got the best designers in town.
Of course you do. You have the best designers. Well, this is truly fascinating. So if a business or a corporation is watching this today and they are interested in learning more about this psychology of workspace environment, how, first impressions when somebody walks through the door, and really employee satisfaction, how do they get a hold of you, Fernando?
Yeah, so they can go to freeforminteriors.com. That has our phone number. They can email us from that. Our phone number is 509-458-0411. Or they can just email us, info@freeforminteriors.com. And we're glad to go out to the workspace and kind of brainstorm and come up with ideas, or drop by our showroom and kind of see those things in
Now, will
person.
you be doing a public open house for the new space, do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking about, trying to maybe schedule that. I think the challenge is I haven't figured out yet how to get the word out. Maybe this is the platform to get.
There you
it
go.
takes
This
a lot
is a
of
great
planning
opportunity.
and dedicate a lot of time in the day. But I'm definitely happy to do personal tours and we've done it for clients specifically. So if you've got a company and you want to marshal up your leadership team and say, hey, let's go get some ideas on what we should do with our space, give us a call or
Just
shoot
give
me
you
an
a call.
email, and then
Okay.
we'll do a personal tour and answer questions about challenges. I mean, if you had any other problem at home, if your grass was dying, you would call the landscaping experts to give you any ideas on how to salvage it. So if you're having workplace challenges, you should definitely come talk to the experts and
Yeah.
kind of express what needs fixing and what are some tools to fix it.
Well, and what I love about what you do is it's not just furniture. Again, it's the psychology of the workplace and making a meaningful space for people to feel good in. And if you've enjoyed, which I know you have, watching Fernando, word on the street is, thank you, Kent Adams, that you are in the process of putting together your own show for Spokane Talks Media. And I can't pressure you on a date, but it's in
I'm
process.
figuring it out.
He's figuring it out. But give us the premise of this production.
So it's really, I came to Kent with, really it's more for me than it is maybe for Spokane Talks, because the thing that I love about my job is I get to see so many cool spaces and back offices, and it's what's kept me engaged in this industry for so long. In no other line of work that I can think of would I have seen, where they make, vaccines at Jubilant Hollister Steer, or have looked at manufacturing of how, LK makes their metal goods with their manufacturing out in the valley, or the list
Great
is
opportunities.
endless of seeing all these cool workplaces and how they work. And so I think there's more people that are interested like me, judging by the popularity of that show, how it's made.
Yes.
I can watch factories, putting candy on an assembly line for hours on end. I just like seeing how things work, that it blows my mind.
Yeah.
And so my idea for a show is, let me figure out a way, and I haven't quite figured it out yet, of taking a camera through these workplaces of Spokane and showing the places that people don't typically get to see. And then, I'm hoping I can reach out to business owners of big businesses and small businesses in Spokane that do interesting things and getting to take people back where the general public doesn't normally go. And that's the whole concept behind the show. So
I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I think it's, in Spokane, you're right. We don't get to go into these places. So to have you go in and videotape it for us to see would be phenomenal. So I know that Kent will keep putting pressure on you to get that on, because I think it'll be a huge success. So thank you for coming and sharing what you're doing at Freeform. The psychology is incredible, and it's been eye-opening for me, and I'm sure it's been eye-opening for you. So thank you for coming on, and we'll look forward to seeing your show on Spokane Talks Media.
Great to meet you, Lonna. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us today on Business Talks. I am Lonna Smith.
National Barricade and Sign Company is a well-established company founded in 1957. National Barricade has become a well-known business in the Spokane Valley for more than 50 years. Over the years, we have built long-lasting relationships with many cities, counties, and their departments of transportation. Customers come to us because they know they are going to get the best quality service at the best possible price. National Barricade prides itself on getting the job done in a timely manner. We know that contractors must have certain items in a timely fashion to get their job done, and if we don't have it, we will get it. We guarantee fast service no matter how long it takes.
The world has changed a lot in 50 years, and Kimley Haygood has changed with it. We still provide our customers with the highest level of service, whether it's financing, construction management, property management and maintenance, leasing, or sales. Our team is here to help you make the best decisions with your real estate.